We have 4 alums who are on the call today, and we will pause and take questions for our alums. And at the end, you'll also have a chance to have questions and answers. My name is Beth Casagrand. I am the Emerging Leaders Director. I've been back at Focus St. Louis since August of last year. However, I worked for Focus St. Louis from 2011 to 2017. So it's been a homecoming for me. I love this organization. Also on the call is Kayla. Kayla, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kayla Dix. I am currently the Alumni Engagement and Recruiting Manager at Focus. I've been with the company for about 6 years now, and many of you have probably already heard from me. So looking forward to connecting further today. Thank you.
As I'm talking, if any questions come up, feel free to put them in the chat if you're looking for links, especially. Kayla will be monitoring that and answering questions as she can, and some of them may have to wait till the very end. So Emerging Leaders is one part of Focus St. Louis. Focus St. Louis is a nonprofit, a nonpartisan organization that teaches leadership through learning more about the atmosphere around us. There's a pipeline of different programs. We start at youth. We have a Youth Leadership St. Louis program for high school juniors. This specific program is aimed at early and mid-career professionals from all different sectors: business, nonprofit, government, healthcare. We say young professionals, but really what we look at is where are you in your career? We don't necessarily look at a specific age. The time commitment for it, it's a 4-month program. We run it twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. There's an opening retreat, 5 seminar days. There's something called our civic action projects, which we'll go deeper into. And then there's the Focus Now graduation, which everyone gets invited to, all of our program participants. What we say our program outcomes is really an increased sense of engagement in the region. So there's going to be many pieces where you're learning about St. Louis and different high-level topics. Strong understanding of your core values. One of the things this program does is try to give the space for you to dig deep and really think about, does what you're doing align to the person that you are and who you wish to be? And then as well as a toolbox to take an active role as the next generation of leaders in the region. So it's immersive training with interactive program days as well as the Civic Action Project. So what to expect? It's going to be led by me, the Emerging Leaders Facilitator, but there's also going to be subject matter experts, regional leaders, panels. And besides that, the program includes, of course, the retreat. We say retreat, it's really opening days to really get to know your class and jump on in. Our seminar days switch between half and full day sessions. They feature interviews, panels, presentations, large and small group discussions, leadership exercises, reflection, and more. Our civic action project is a very large part of the emerging leaders experience, but I'll get to that in a moment. We have Focus Now, our all program graduation. It's a great networking event. We have women in leadership groups, 2 cohorts. We have a Leadership St. Louis group as well. So this is your time to meet all the other Focus alums. And that's one of the things that we're really proud of, is that so many leaders are connected through Focus St. Louis. It's a wonderful network, and it's a great way to really get to know St. Louis. And you'll get a complimentary Focus membership during your time in the program. So what to expect? The content evolves for each of the different classes, but in general, this is what we talk about: leadership styles and your personal leadership values, communication/presentation skills, giving and receiving feedback, networking, building a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion, an overview of the St. Louis region and the key issues and challenges, civic-minded leadership and ways to get involved, and finding your why as a leader. For example, when it says this continually evolves, this current class is really interested in getting involved in local politics. So I've been working on a special panel discussion of various political people who are involved in local politics at different levels to talk about that. So that's not something that is typically in it, but we try to respond to the needs of what we hear each cohort saying. As I mentioned, civic action projects is a key element of our emerging leaders curricula. So what this does is we partner with a variety of nonprofit partners. They submit an application to have they have a challenge they want to work on. Um, each of these challenges, a small group of emerging leaders gets together and directly works on these projects. The goals of them is to allow you to develop your leadership skills while implementing best practices learned in the program. It offers you a chance to work alongside a civic leaders and senior level professionals and engage in peer-to-peer mentoring. And it helps improve group facilitation and presentation skills. These are some of our former civic action partners, just as a heads up. It's really hard to give an example of the average civic action projects because they are so different. For example, two of them that are in the cohort now, we have a group that's looking to establish a young professionals group, and so they're looking for a template for that. We have another group, Transform 314, that is really looking to figure out how to mobilize Black voters in the city of St. Louis, and so they're working on a plan for that. I know last cohort, we had a really cool one with the Greater St. Louis Honor Flight, which flies veterans who have not gotten to experience the memorials in Washington, D.C. for an all-day trip. And those folks who did the civic action, this organization was looking for a way to continue the communication with veterans who had gone on the trip. But the people who did this project were able to take the trip with the veterans. They did a day trip to Washington, D.C. These are incredible ways to get embedded in a nonprofit. Oftentimes, we have emerging leaders who go on to become a board member. We never guarantee it, but oftentimes folks who spend time in that organization find it aligns with what they're looking to do, and they become more involved. I know we've also had someone who was hired by their civic action project partner. So again, nothing we guarantee, but it does happen. So the overview of the fall 2025 program schedule is here. The deadline for applying is June 6th, 2025, and we kick off on August 21st. And you can see the dates here from the August through November. These are also available online if you're interested. So why do this program? These are what we see as the program benefits: a deeper understanding of the St. Louis region. You're going to leave feeling as if you understand more about St. Louis. You're going to have exposure to influential civic, business, and community leaders. There's going to be improved collaboration, communication, decision-making, facilitation, strategic thinking. You're going to make deep and lasting relationships with a diverse network of peers. This third one is very important because what you're going to get out of it is what you put in. And I think what I keep coming back to is how meaningful these relationships are that you'll make in the class. And then a greater sense of personal commitment and responsibility to yourself in the region. We're going to go ahead and transition to our emerging leaders panel. We have some fantastic emerging leaders from the fall 2024 class on this call for us. I know Misha and Aaron are here. My apologies. It's Rohan and Jordan here? Great. Let's go ahead. We'll start with the order on the screen. I'd love us to kick off with a very quick introduction of who you are in a professional capacity as well as a civic capacity. Rohan, will you kick it off, please?
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Nice to meet you guys. My name is Rohan, and I am professionally an analyst at a company called Caleris. Think of Famous Footwear, think of some other shoe brands like Sam Edelman, if you heard of them. That's where I work in the corporate world. So it's kind of unlike a lot of the other leaders you might find here that work, especially in like the nonprofit space and for community impact, but outside of the professional world. I do like to get involved in community. Very passionate about equity inclusion and St. Louis as a whole. So I love to get involved in, a lot of various projects that are going on in the community, to help impact it in a positive way. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Rohan. Misha.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Misha Gardner. I'm the founder of The Executive Edit, which is a consulting agency for operationalizing businesses and things like that. Outside of my professional career, thanks to Focus, I serve on a couple of different boards within the St. Louis area that are for Humans of St. Louis and also the Megan Myers Foundation. So a wide range of opportunities to contribute to our community in different ways with two totally different nonprofits is something that I'm a part of, as well as that just finding ways to be active and to give back to our community is important to me, and I'm very happy to be here. So thank you,
Thank
Beth.
you, Misha. I appreciate it. Erin.
Hi, my name is Erin LaRusso, and for 18 years, I was an employee with the City of Maryland Heights. I recently left my position as city planner, so I'm proud to say that I have kind of stemmed off into some consulting, and so I've recently founded my own company, Confluence Development Solutions. And while that's picking up, I also am just working as an executive assistant to make sure I can keep those bills paid, right? Childcare is expensive. And then on a more civic side, I think one thing that interests me is now that I'm no longer an insider, I'm no longer working for the government, using my voice to advocate for those who may not be as knowledgeable as I am, and extending that outside of just Maryland Heights. And then kind of echoing Misha's sentiments, I took advantage of Focus's board bridge program and had some things aligned. And then with kind of flipping my life 360, that's on hold, but I look on to taking advantage of that next time it re-enrolls.
Awesome. And for those of you who don't know, Board Bridge is a program offered through Focus St. Louis, where nonprofits who are looking for board members sign up, people who are looking to have board service sign up as well, and we do potential matches for them. Thank you so much, Erin. Jordan.
Hi, yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Good to be with you all. My name is Jordan Rothrock. I have worked primarily in the intersection between systems, technology, analytics, and program service delivery, and how to leverage storytelling and outcomes to improve decision making. So what that looks like currently is with Concordance, which is a reentry program in St. Louis, Missouri. We will work with folks who have recently released from prison and provide holistic wraparound services. So legal assistance, employment, education, case management, substance use treatment. So that's kind of my wheelhouse and where I've been at. And then civically, I lead volunteers once a month at a ministry called Restore St. Louis. They have a variety of different ministries when it comes to like food distribution, tutoring refugees and families in the St. Louis area, as well as Workday. So providing widows and elderly folks in the community with home repairs. So I'm involved with that. And then I volunteer at CJM, which is another local reentry program. And then, involved in my local faith communities as well, teaching Sunday school. So that's what I'm up to.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jordan. So next question I'm going to ask, what was your favorite part of Emerging Leaders? We'll go down the line again. Rohan.
Yeah, that's a great question. There's so many good parts about the program, but I think overall, just what I really enjoyed about the program is that there really is something for like every stage of whatever part of the leadership journey you are in, whether it's like learning about who you are as a leader, or maybe like understanding what strategies will help you grow your skills to become a better leader, and even like offering opportunities to get more involved with the community or build out your network with your peers in your class or maybe even outside of your class, right? With opportunities to get involved in like boards as other people have, things like that. I just think it's a really holistic experience that allows you to reach every stage of leadership journey. So that's what I enjoyed the most about my experience at Focus.
Awesome. Thank you, Rohan. Misha.
I echo the sentiments of Rohan. It really is a holistic program. Outside of that, my favorite was our civic engagement project. So we had the opportunity to literally take it to the streets and be a part of the neighborhood in which we were working in. We became patrons there. We met each other there. And got really a good heartbeat of what was happening in the neighborhood that we were serving. So
Would you like to talk quickly about what your action project was?
sure, we were working in the Locust Business District. So it is a little kitty corner that is part downtown west and midtown. It is an area that can thrive, that has a lot of potential, like a lot of things that we say in the city. However, there were some problems with activating it in a way where it could catch momentum. So our project was to provide a summary document with some suggestions about how to move forward. And we did that over a couple months. It was really good for us to take the opportunity to meet the business owners in the area, to talk to some citizens and things like that, to really just get an understanding broader than our perceptions, which would be another thing that's talked about in the program. So we got to see the city in a different light. We got to see the area in a different light. And it really challenged some of those status quo stereotypes that we're used to, where we were able to put together things in a productive way. So it was a really good stretch of ourselves mentally and socially for us to be a part of it.
It's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much, Misha. So y'all, I didn't like prep them with this or anything. So I'm hearing their answers for the first time. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Misha. Erin.
Yeah, I think anytime you're interested in a leadership program such as this, you kind of expect the standard, right? And I think what differentiates Focus is the rawness of the program. And when I say that, I mean everyone in our cohort, and I believe in cohorts before us, showed up like authentically and honestly. Um, I had conversations with people in my group that I wouldn't probably have even had with my therapist. So I mean, these are true connections, and discussions which push you outside of your comfort zone in ways you wouldn't expect of a leadership program. And because of that rawness, I feel a true connection with everyone in our cohort. Like I could reach out to any of them at any time and ask for a favor. And I enjoy seeing their updates on LinkedIn. Happy to see these faces on our screen today. And hopefully I'll see them again in May in our graduation. So that's what I appreciated, was just the foundation was set so that honest and raw conversations could be had without any judgment, and true growth was a result of that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Erin. And last but not least, Jordan.
For sure. Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts was the opportunity to practice some really important skills, like networking, reflective listening, how to provide feedback, whether that's to a direct report or to a peer or colleague. And I think also, again, has everyone just kind of echoed the opportunity to connect with so many different people from so many different industries, whether that's finance, banking, government, nonprofit sector. It was just such a great opportunity to learn from so many different professionals and a variety of different ages too. I was a little on the younger side, but everyone in my group was about 10 plus years older than me. And so I've really kind of adopted, and like they were able to model some things and just
not everyone, Jordan.
Wisdom.
Not everyone. I was in his group.
Erin and I were in a group together, which was honestly, I got to shout out to my CAP group. It was a blast. We had a great time on calls, in sessions, and it's just really developing some great connections that I've maintained both, just personally and professionally. So I cannot recommend the program enough.
Oh, thank you all so much. One last question is, what have you done differently because of emerging leaders? And rather than start with Rohan, Jordan, why don't I start with you? Are you okay with that? We'll go backwards through the...
For sure. Thanks for switching up on us. I think one thing I've done differently is move with more intention, both in my workplace and also just, civically and in my community. So one thing that Shayla actually mentioned, she was like, never go cold into a meeting. And I literally have just stood by that since then. What are your objectives going into a meeting, both within that, project and sphere, and how are you going to connect that information both at the rest of the organization, but also more broadly, right, in the community. I think I've taken a little bit more risks in the workplace and, just said yes to things, whether that's going to a conference in Philly for work for a DOJ opportunity, or, just an upcoming event we have at Concordance, and just being able to network and really practice a lot of the skills that we touched on in group, and during the focus cohort. So yeah, it's just been a wonderful experience, and also being able to see those avenues. This is a really weird analogy that I'm just going to share, but in soccer, right? The common saying is you've never met a good soccer player that also can't juggle. But similarly, like I've never met a good, really impressive professional who is also willing and able to connect people and use their professional and civic circles in kind of the same vein. So how are you going to leverage the network that you have in order to improve your kind of workplace and vice versa? And I think Focus is really a community of people that is able to tap into that skill. And that's something that I didn't even know was a skill to be had before coming into the program. So I think it's really benefited me in just my everyday professional setting, but also in my civic and community life. So those are some things I've done differently as part of being in the program.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jordan. Aaron.
Well, as I kind of stated in my segue, I think, like Jordan said, he learned to take some risk. And I think leaving a career after 18 years is pretty risky. And I think that's what Focus really taught me, is that success looks more than one way. And so I had this path that I was going to start here and end up here. And that was my story of success. But success at the cost of your mental health isn't success. And so Focus just allowed me to look at my peers who had pivots, and maybe more than one pivot in just a chapter of their story. And so it allowed me to look at change as leaving the comfortable and the known, instead of just risking into the unknown. It's hard to describe, but I truly think I wouldn't have taken the pivot that I did without Focus. And so, I've told myself I'd stay here for a year and focus on my consulting, and I can always go back. And utilizing having a network full of successful peers, that almost like a security net, like Jordan said, leaning on them if I have to. Um, and then, more internally, is if something is said that maybe rubs you the wrong way, looking more intrinsically and analyzing why that's upsetting you, and not focusing so much on the other person and what they said as the issue, but what is it about me that I may feel that way? So kind of, if something is said that, maybe offends you or sits the wrong way, thinking about that a little differently. And that's a lesson I've carried personally and professionally since leaving Focus.
It's really powerful. Thank you, Aaron. Misha.
Yes. So a lesson that has stuck with me is one of our panels about storytelling. And you would think that it was in the vein of how do you pitch a story in a perfect type of way, but it was really who lives, who die, who tells their story, in the words of Hamilton, and positioning yourself where you are the storyteller of your life, of the journey that you're going through, of everything that's happening around you. Like, how do you own everything that you are a part of in a way where you feel good about it? So rather than what other people are telling you you are, how do you define yourself, and how are you letting that be known, is something that has been truly instrumental in this journey too. Like Aaron, I left a career and started my own business and things like that. So no time more than ever is it important to be the person who tells my story, especially considering that I'm not resting on the lawns of an institution that, precedes me many of years. So I do think that there are a lot of lessons to be learned as a participant of this program, where it's applicable in different parts of your life, outside of just how do I become civically engaged in St. Louis. For sure, I would say that it would make your experience in St. Louis and in the program more meaningful when you do participate and take the opportunity to take the lessons to heart.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Misha. Not last but not least, Rohan.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with what Aaron, Jordan, and Misha were saying. All very valuable aspects to what we learned here at Focus, and for me myself too. I think for myself specifically, though, the biggest impact that I received was more towards my leadership skills and becoming a kind of a stronger communicator and better at building relationships and networking outside of the classroom, more so in the real world. And a lot of that was through what we learned in Focus, but also a lot through the peers and the other leaders that I met throughout this program. You know, I had a lot of great people on my CAT project, like Misha, who really showed off their great communication and leadership skills, as well as the other people. You really like, hear a lot of other people's stories and learn about their perspectives of how they lead, and that kind of helped me get rid of some of the mental blocks that I've had in becoming a better leader and a better communicator. And I'm really grateful for this experience, and especially the people that I've been able to work with and continue to talk to after this leadership experience.
Well, thank you all, Rohan, Misha, Aaron, and Jordan. I really appreciate your thoughts, and I know it was very helpful for possible participants to hear from you as well. Couple last things before we go to Q&A. Tuition is $1,000. It is often covered by employers, either in part or by full. However, we do have financial aid available in terms of partial scholarships. As you're applying, I know there's a place to say that you're interested in the scholarship, and I believe Kayla will follow up with some of that information. And thank you to the sponsors who support our scholarship program. We're going to go ahead and open it up to Q&A. Kayla, did anything come through the chat?
Hi, Beth. Nothing that I've seen, but we are open to questions.
Yes, if anyone has any questions for me or any of the participants, we'd love to hear from you. Well, y'all are an easy group. Thank you so much. So important dates coming up. Our application deadline is Friday, June 6th. The application is now open. So if you're interested in applying, you can apply now. We will be doing our selection day on the 17th, and we will notify you by the 30th. Once you've been notified, you have a week to sign up and agree to the program. If you're interested in nominating someone, if you know someone that you think would be great, you can go ahead and nominate them as well. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Beth Casagrande, here's my email. You can also find my email online. I'd love to hear more from you if you're wondering about any of the aspects of this program. Well, thank you so much. Thanks so much to our alums who jumped on the call and were able to share their experience with everyone. I really appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all soon. Hope to see you guys at Focus Now.